welcome. I do not connect to your host, Adi Babe. You're coming in. Don't forget to let us know where you're watching us from. And click that share button. Let's get more people on this platform before we start. Our guest is ready to go, but we're going to bring him on in a few minutes. Let's try to get more people online to come on the platform so we can have a fruitful conversation. So don't forget to let me know where you're watching me from. City, town, village, country. Don't be shy. Don't need to leave your address. I'm not coming home to your house. Just let us know which city, not the world, is a global village. For the meantime, I'm going to be inviting my friends also. I'm going to be playing a little bit of music just to entertain you guys before comments. Thank you. Let me know if you can hear me well. Hear me well. Just leave a message on the comment section. Let me know if you can hear me well. If you have any problem, let me know. So don't forget as you join in, let me know where you're watching from. And let me know if you can hear me well. Please leave it in the comments. Mine. Welcome. I can see you guys are here. You're watching me. I need you not to be shy. You need to let me know where you're watching me from. City, if you're here from Canada, Toronto, Scarborough area. Let me know if you're in Brampton. Let me know if in the US, Europe, London, um, Nigeria. Let me know where you're watching from. Hi, Egba. Welcome. Let me know where you're watching me from. Hey, Johnson. Let me know where you're watching me from. Welcome, awesome Kelly Manuel. Welcome from Nigeria. So the rest of you should follow suit. Let us know where you're watching from. Don't be shy. Don't worry, I'm not coming to knock at your door. And if you already have any questions that you actually want to ask beforehand, you can put it down. Then when we get into it, then we'll definitely go into your questions after. Don't forget, as you're coming in, click that share button. Let's get more people into this conversation so that a lot of people from the information that needs to be shared this evening. Okay, welcome, Kay. Watching from GTA. Welcome. Don't forget to click that share button. Let's get more people up in this forum. I'm also sharing with my friends because I'm not selfish. I like to share information that would be useful to somebody else, even if it's not useful to me. Because you never know who's going to need that information. So kindly click that share button. Let me see that share button. Let me see it spinning. And let me know, can you even hear my music? Or I'm just dancing, to the breeze going on. Can you hear my music? Is it loud enough or it's not too loud? Let's push that shit button. Let's get more people into this forum. Let's start conversation. Okay. So for those who are just joining, let me introduce myself again. I'm Ade Babes, also known as Lady T, also known as Adeba Ladende. Welcome to Adeba Connected TV. Today we're going to be discussing immigration and migrating to Canada. I can't hear your music all. Okay. When I put the music back on, I'll try to put the volume up a little bit more. So, before inviting the guest in, I'm just going to do a little introduction for those who are new to the forum. This space is not just for me and my guests to chit chat, but it's also to conversate with you guys that are also watching. We want you guys to, I want you, but I can see you're dancing. Oh, I'm dancing to the music in my head, right? So I want you guys to not be shy. If you have a question, if you have a comment, feel free, put it out there in the comment section. I will be reading it out loud so that my guests and anyone else who's going to be watching this video later on via YouTube will be able to also hear the questions that are being asked. So do follow me on my Instagram pages, which is Ade_babes. That's my personal page, and also Adeba Connected TV, of course. And of course, Canada Realty is for my guests. Check him out, and also is also on YouTube, Canada Realty on YouTube. Also go there, subscribe. You're definitely not going to be disappointed. You're going to get a lot of information that I'm sure you've been searching for. So, like I said again, this space is for us to have a conversation together. It's not for me to just talk away. So, don't be shy. Do click that share button. Let's get more people into the forum. And in the meantime, let me do a little what do you call it? Advertisement for those who have paid to have their information or their business televised.
First, let me say to you, I cannot wait to see you. You are the treasure I've been waiting for. Do you know how much I really need you? I dey pray for the day when I can finally kiss you. You know, say every day I dey pray.
Sorry. Okay, so you guys, that's real estate investment. If you're interested in real estate back home, we know that's where the money is. So if you have some money sitting down somewhere, you're not sure where to put the money into, believe me, you want to invest. And one of the best places to invest that you're definitely going to see some good returns is definitely back in Nigeria, in Africa. So if you need more information about that, don't forget, you can definitely send me a message and I will be reverting that information to you. Live from Brampton. Welcome, my darling. And then, of course, you have the Babes Lashes. Lashes by Ade Babes, which is me. So I just launched my lash line a few weeks ago. So I need you guys, well, guys and girls, I need you to go to adebabes.com and grab some lashes. So if you can see very well, I'm not sure if you can see, I'm wearing the signature lashes, which is called Ade Babes. So I need you guys to get on adebabes.com, grab your lashes for your girls. And of course, the men that are watching, don't forget you can grab it for your girls, friend, your wife, so your mothers. Hey, there's nothing wrong with sharing. So definitely get on adebabes.com and grab a set of your Adebabes lashes. So one of the other adverts that we have, of course, is 24/7 lounge restaurant. And 24/7 lounge restaurant is like diversity of African delicious cuisines. You know, when you order from them, believe me, you'll be licking up your finger and you're going to order some more. Their food is very delicious, so very delicious. So you're definitely not going to go wrong ordering from 24/7 um, lounge restaurants. For more information, of course, like I said, do send me a message and I will be giving that information out to you later. And for those who maybe will be coming in now, will not coming later, if you're following me on Adibabes on Facebook, most of the time these adverts are posted on my page, so you will be seeing them. So just follow me. If you're not following me, follow me. And also the main brand is Adiba Connector. Go and join Adiba Connector group on Facebook. So nonetheless, we do have another. Sorry, one second, guys. We have our new business, which we just put out there. I would say launch, but not really lunch. Welcome, Taiwo Olatuji, watching from Brampton. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Please click that share button. Let's get more people into this forum. So, this is a new space which is called Correct Commerce Space. Pretty much, if you're looking, you've done your spring cleaning and you have all these fairly used items sitting in the house and you don't know what to do with it, guess what? You can use it to make extra income. Go on Correct Commerce and register for free and post these items there so that you can get potential buyers that will come and will give you money for those items who are looking for those items. You know, sometimes most of us are fortunate, we're able to afford some luxuries which some people are unable to. And if you can give it to them at a definitely affordable price, why not? And just put a little cash in your pocket, even if it's for free. You can definitely still go there and post it. And you have potentials who will come, who would call you and send you an email, whatever information you put out there, they'll be able to connect with you. AK, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, guys. Samson, welcome. Abolade, welcome. Um, Future Nigeria Leadership, welcome. Williams, welcome. Sami, yes, welcome. Yomi Ashaye, welcome. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name properly. I'm so sorry. Forgive me now. Forgive me later. Forgive me now. Adebayo Sanya, welcome. And of course, Alakshidi, welcome. So, like I said, as you're joining, let us know where you're watching us from and click that share button. Let's get more people up into this platform, yo. So, like I said, go on correctcommerce.com and register for free. And click, not just register, share, 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 so that more people will know about correctcommerce.com. Thank you, thank you. So we are done definitely with our commercials for today. So I'm going to be bringing my lovely, handsome guest on board. So, like I said, if you guys have any questions that you want to ask, don't be shy. The way this platform, the way this space works, is not me just talking, but it's us actually having a conversation. So you have a question, you have a comment, hey, just throw it out there. It's all good. We will answer them as they come in. So of course, my guest today is a YouTuber. Like you guys need to go check out his YouTube, yo. When I went onto the YouTube, I was like, wow, he's been putting some great content into his platform that is so beneficial. And I think anyone that goes on that platform, subscribe, and you definitely, if not for you, definitely for somebody else. And like, don't just go on this platform and subscribe alone. Go on Ediba Connected TV also and subscribe. Why is sub not coming out of my mouth today? And subscribe. So let me welcome you to our guest, Bernard Odulami, and I hope I'm pronouncing it properly. Welcome, 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 Bernard. How are you doing?
I'm good. You? How are you today?
Not bad, not bad. Abola Day Sunday, watching from Italy. That's beautiful. Click that share button, guys. Okay, so Mr. Bernard, I'm sure so many people are like expecting enough information. You know how it is. You've been in this for a long time now. So what information do you want to give our viewers, and not just the ones that are watching right now, but of course the ones that are going to be watching later on? And don't forget, your handles are in the bottom there, so anybody that wants to definitely reach him later on, you're able to do so. Just take a pen, take a picture of his information that is written in the bottom of the screen. Yes, you may go.
All right,
Welcome.
thank you very much, Ade Babes, for this opportunity that you've given me today. To thank you very much. It's an honor to be live with you. I really want to say I really appreciate that. And to all our viewers watching us from everywhere they are watching us from, you're welcome to this platform. And I hope you get as much information as you need today. Let me start by you already introduced me, so I don't need to dwell on that. But just to add to that, my name is Ben. I came into Canada some few years back as an international student. And so I actually went through the process from being an international student to getting my work permit to applying for express entry before I'm going to the point of permanent resident and finally to citizenship. So I've been through the process and I know what it took me. Initially, when I landed here, there was no information for me. I had to source from information myself. So I felt, okay, since and I know some of these things, why won't I just like to share it with people, especially because virtually every day I get calls, emails, phone calls from people, messages. Oh, how do I come into Canada? Not only Africans alone, people all over. So I felt I should just create a platform, and that was what built the YouTube and other avenue where I share information. So once again, thanks for this opportunity. All
You're
right,
welcome.
so there are so many ways people can come into Canada. So I mean, there are numerous ways people can come into Canada. There are different routes. So it depends on which you qualified for, which because there are numerous paths and there are different criteria. So first thing first, I came in through study route. That means I came in to study. I know so many people have problem with the study because I mean now the tuition fee is a bit high, and even apart from the tuition fee, you discover now that the rate at which study permits are being turned down or being rejected is now alarming. Statistically, if I'm not wrong, last year alone, the rejection rate for Nigerian was like, if well, I think it was within 80 to 90% rejection rate. So I mean, it's not that people are not really putting what they need to put, but I mean, sometimes they have a quota, right? They have a number of people they want to come in, right? So sometimes when they have their quota already, they don't want to exceed that. And sometimes it could be because the applicants are not putting in the right information that they need to put when they apply. Okay, so these are some of the reasons why some of these study permits are being uh, are rejected. And lest I forget, I actually want to say this. For our viewers, I'm not a licensed immigration officer. I'm just a YouTuber that like to dish out information. So you can also go online to do your additional research if you want to get one. So whatever I say here, you don't want to just take it to the bank. You can also do your own additional research. That's just a disclaimer, just for the viewers. So yeah, so I said about the study. So people can come in through study if they want, if they have financial requirements, and yes, they can come in through study. Another route through which people can come in, which I always advise people to come in through, will be through the express entry. So the express entry was introduced 2015 January. That was 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So that platform gives you opportunity to come into Canada as a skilled worker based on your experience. So in order for you to qualify for this, age needs to be on your side. You need to be young. I mean, the younger you are, the better for you. You need to have more educational qualification. I mean, bachelor's. If you have master's, PhD, the better for you. And you need to take the English exam. That's IELTS. If you're in Canada, you take IELTS. If you are in Canada, you can take CELPIP. So for those that are outside Canada, IELTS, you just go on. It's a British Cambridge examination. You just go online and you register for the examination and you pick a date. And so the exam basically tests your knowledge on speaking, writing, listening, and reading. So you do that. If you come out, the higher you score, the better for you because this express entry is based on points. So the more you can score, if you can score higher, then it will be better for your application. So once you do that, another thing again that is very salient that you need to do in order for you to qualify for this express entries, you need to do WES evaluation. WES is called World Educational Service. So they help to evaluate results wherever you're coming from. wherever continent you're coming from. So this West, it's a body that helps to evaluate results and puts it at the pedestal of international level. So you need to do that for your bachelor's, your diploma, whatever you have. You need to do that. So when you do these two things, then you cannot go online and create your profile. You create your profile. At the end of it, then the system is going to generate a point for you based on the profile that you put in. So that point that means your point. So bi-weekly, in most cases it's done bi-weekly, but sometimes it's done weekly. I mean, so Canada IRCC they do draws. Like 2 days ago they did a draw and it was pegged at 437. So you have to, based on your point that you've accrued, then you have to wait for your, if eventually your point was picked, they'll send an invitation to you and your permanent resident process begins from there. So I mean, so many people, they have problem with that because it's not so easy to pass English. People take it for granted. They feel it's just English, but there's more to that. You have to practice. And also another mitigating factor that affects people is the age. The older you are, the lesser points you can accrue. So this is another route through which people can come into Canada. And if I'm going to advise people in order for them to increase their points, I would say you might want to do very well in English, practice very well so you can score more. Another thing again I can advise you is that you need to, if you are good in French, you can take additional language. So apart from English, if you are fluent in French, you can also do French test too, and you can get more points. In addition to this, you can increase your educational qualification. If you have a bachelor's before, you can go for that to do your master's, or you can do additional diploma that you can do. I mean, just to make sure you increase your points in the pool. So that's another route. There are numerous routes. We have the agric route, we have the rural and northern immigration pilot program, which was recently introduced. We have the, the agric route. So, and we have the Atlantic immigration pilot program, which was introduced last year. So there are different routes through which people can come into Canada.
Okay. Do we have any questions? If you guys have any questions, don't forget, just put the questions out there. Okay, you mentioned the IELTS and then the West evaluation. For the West evaluation, is it only done in Canada or that's before you even apply?
All right, so going back to the West exam evaluation that you need to do. So West is not it's not only done in Canada. So it's just a body. Okay, so the body, all you have to do wherever you're applying from, if you're applying from Africa, Asia, wherever you're applying for, all you need to just do is go to west.org. When you go to west.org online, you create a profile for yourself. You put in all your information, your age, your batch, your degrees, your everything, your address, everything. You put it on there. Then after you must have done that, then after you need to make a payment. Okay, I forgot to tell you that you need to make a payment, which is like approximately 235 Canadian dollars, if I'm not wrong. So that payment, once you make that payment, you will generate a reference code. Okay, so you see the reference code you generate online after creating your profile on west.org, you will now make request for your transcript from wherever school you attended for your degree or whatever, your diploma. You make a request for your transcript. So on the transcript, you need to send your school. You need to tell them about the reference code so that when the school when they prepare the transcript for you, they need to include the reference number that you generated on West website. So your school is now designated to send your transcript to West. So your school can send it to West, or they can give it to you and you send it to West yourself. But if they give it to you, you need to make sure you don't open the transcript. So once your transcript gets to West will now send an email to your school just for them to confirm that they actually sent the transcript. So once your school can confirm it that, okay, they were the one that sent the transcript, after 20 days, West will evaluate your transcript and they will get back to you via email or mail to give you the equivalent of your transcript, and that's all. That's just it.
Okay, so you said the West is 230 something Canadian.
Yeah, 235.
So what about the IELTS? Do you pay for that too or no?
All right, so IELTS is also a paid examination too. So just like I said earlier on, If you're in Canada, you have the option of doing CELPIP or IELTS. But if you're outside Canada, CELPIP it's only in Singapore. I think CELPIP is only in Singapore. It's not cutting across. But IELTS cuts across the globe, everywhere you are. So it's a paid exam too. So I know in Canada, that's like almost 255 Canadian dollars for that. So to do that, so what you need to do is go on IELTS.com, the website, and you register wherever you are, wherever part of the world you are, Africa, wherever you are. So go on the website, and they have location even wherever you are. They have locations cutting across the globe. So you create your profile, you put in your information, your passport information, everything. Then you make the payment and you pick a date that suits you for the examination. You pick a date that suits you and you pick a location that suits you. On the day of the examination, you go with all the documents and they verify you and the exam begins. It's actually like a 2 hours exam, if I'm not mistaken. You have to do listening, speaking, writing, and reading. So these in 4 parts. So once you're done with the exam, I mean, it's not so easy, but if you prepare yourself properly, you can actually make it. I have seen people do it 3 times, 4 times, and also I've seen people do it 1 time too. So it depends on the level of preparation and the grades you get. So once you do the examination, after like 10 days, 10 to 12 days, you get the results of your examination stating that, okay, in English, you got 7, reading, you got, and they'll give you your results. And based on that, you now go online to IRCC website to create your profile for that. And also something I need to make you understand is that the IELTS is not just for express entry alone. You can also use the IELTS if you are applying for provincial nominee. So IELTS is very, very important if you want to migrate to Canada. So whichever route you want to come in through, IELTS is very, very paramount. But of the truth, let me tell you that if you are coming in to study in Canada, you might not really require IELTS to study. Only if your previous studies was not done in English, that's when you require IELTS. Like I came in from Nigeria, and because my previous study up to bachelor's level was in English, the school I applied to here, they never requested for IELTS. But take, for instance, someone that is applying from Cameroon or from Algeria, from French speaking or Spanish or Italian, they might need to do IELTS because their previous study might have not been in English.
Okay. So let's just welcome some guests here. We have, oh boy, I can't pronounce it very well. Holumide, the way it's spelled. Now I look like a fool. Holumide, Samson, welcome. Mokade, welcome. Kelly, my darling, welcome. Permetal, welcome. Stevenson, Abolade, Shola, Luashegun, Olatuji, K. You guys, welcome. Let us know where you're watching us from. And if you have any question in regards to migrating, if maybe you've tried it or you were not approved, let us know what your stories are. Let us know what your situations are. If you're if you have a question in regarding to your reply letter, let us know if there's clarification that you need. And don't forget, you can definitely, if it's something maybe you're too shy to discuss at the moment, you can get the information of our guest and speak to him directly later for him just to give you information that can help you maybe in your next application. So the next question I have for you is how long does it normally take to apply for different ways to come into the country?
Okay. To start with, if you're applying through study, all you need to do is from wherever you are outside Canada, or if you're in Canada, just go online, go to the school you want to apply to. Like in my case, I applied to Humble College. So go to the website, apply for the admission, submit the requirement that you need. And once you do that, in 1 to 2 weeks, the school gets back to you with your admission letter. Once you get the admission letter, the next thing for you is to get all the necessary documents so that you can go and apply for the study permit visa. And what are the documents you need? You need the academic, the letter of acceptance from the school. You need your proof of fund, statement of accounts to show that you are competent, you have the money to come and study in Canada. You need your police certificate. You need your So yes, a lot of that and much information as you can get, because you want to try as much as possible to convince the immigration officer that when you're done studying in Canada, you will be reverting back home. So two of the most salient reasons why study permit applications are rejected are insufficient finance. So if you cannot prove enough finance to take care of yourself while you're studying in Canada, your application might be rejected. Another reason again is that if you don't show enough ties to back home. So how do you show enough ties to back home? If you have work back home, you want to get a reference letter from your employer showing that you're working, you have a good job, and when you're done studying in Canada, you'll be reverting back to the company. Or you have a business back home that is thriving, you want to use that as a proof of ties to back home. Or you have a family. Some people have seen a situation whereby a family, um, someone that has a wife and family is asking me, he wants to apply for everybody at the same time to come into Canada. I always advise, use your family as a tiles. You can come in, the husband or the wife can come in by him or herself, while the remaining member of the family stay back home. That's a tile. So roughly, if you want to apply for the study permit, roughly now it's a little bit faster. Within 1 to 3 months, they will revert back to you whether you get a visa or not. If you're looking at the express entry, the timeline for the express entry, that depends on how fast you can get your WES done, how fast you can get your IELTS done. But if eventually you get everything done and you create your profile online and you meet the eligibility criteria and they issue you an invitation to apply, which is called the ITA, from the moment you are issued the ITA to when you'll be getting your permanent resident, roughly we're looking at the timeline of 3 to 6 months. Everything will be done. So yes, that's the timeline for that. But we've seen situation whereby it's beyond that. So the timeline could go beyond that if IRCC at the point require some additional information from you, and as a result of that, or they feel there is something fishy about your application, they need to look into it. That could be another reason why it could take longer than that. But normally, within 3 to 6 months, your express entry application should be done with.
Okay, we have a question here. Samson Raju says, my question is this. I helped my wife to pay for something like this, which we did not see anything yet. It's not school. We pay 500,000 naira. Okay, I don't think that question is very clear. My, you paid for what exactly? If it's not school, what did you pay for? And when you said you have not received anything yet, you mean any response? Is that what it is? Can you clarify that question, please? Or do you know what it meant by that question?
Actually, I don't understand. Maybe you can actually drop further, clarify that. I actually don't know what you meant by that question. Just like I was saying in the before that. Um, so so now I talked about school. I talked about express entry. So another alternative for people to come into Canada would be through provincial nominee. So the provincial nominee, so for my viewers, the provincial nominee is actually so here in Canada, apart from the central government, which is the federal government themselves, every province they have their way of bringing in people into the province. So the provincial nominee are another route through which people can migrate into Canada. You see, if you want to apply through the express entry, you require a higher score in your IELTS English test. But some of these provinces, they don't require higher score. So meaning that if you are not scoring very well in your English test, probably your score is not enough to get you good points for you to be nominated in the express entry. You can actually try the provincial nominee. Some of the provinces that I can recommend for people out there that are with lower score or are struggling in the express entry pool, I can nominate provinces like Alberta. Alberta, they're a little bit more relaxed. For people, the score they require is not so much. You want to try Alberta, you want to try Saskatchewan, you want to try Nova Scotia. So these two provinces, you can actually look into their criteria are not so much heavy as other provinces. I mean, Ontario is saturated. Ontario, the demand is a little bit high in Ontario. So British Columbia is a little bit high too. Quebec is somehow. But when you look at provinces that are a little bit relaxed in their criteria, what they require, you might want to look at Nova Scotia, you want to look at Saskatchewan, you want to look at Prince Edward Island and Alberta.
Okay, so I hope you guys got that. Samson Raju says we were told it's like a residence. Okay, maybe he's talking about residential permits.
Well, the information there is very scanty. So I mean, I might not be able to, I mean, maybe you can structure the question properly so that we can understand what he's trying to say. And there's
Okay,
something
so
again that is very important for people to know out there is that people need to be very wary of scammers. I mean, because I get this question on my YouTube most like daily. People pay money to a certain person, and at the end of the day, he or she promises them to get them visa, and at the end of the day, they get nothing. So you have to be very careful. If you need information, anything you're not clear about, you can always go to IRCC website to get further clarification. Don't just be because you're in the race to travel out wherever you are. You just give money to anybody promising you, and at the end of the day, it ends up being fraudulent.
okay. Okay, so Bethlehem Ubi says, is there age is there age restrictions for masters in Canada? And what is the average tuition fees for masters and living expenses? For express entry, what is the most important factor for a positive application? And what is the percentage of success for Nigerians? Have statistics on that.
Okay, so this question is, I'll take it in piece. First, I want to start with, is there an age restriction for masters in Canada? Of the truth, to the best of my knowledge, I stand to be corrected, there's no age restriction to education in Canada. I mean, whatever age, if you qualify, age is not a restriction. Even if you go on IRC's website, they will never indicate for you that there's an age restriction, no age restriction. But the problem people always have is that, oh, the last time I finished my highest education in the past was BSc, and that was like 14 years ago. And now I want to come in 2020, I want to come and do my master's. The gap of 14 years, do I stand a chance? When you have a gap in your previous study, I mean, 14 years gap from your last study, it could be a red flag when the visa officer sees your study permit application. Oh, 14 years ago, now you want to study now. But what I always advise is this: when you have a gap in your study, the best thing you can do is if you can fill that gap with work experience, that will be able to cushion for that gap. So the 14 years from the last time you study, you can use the work experience to fill that void and apply for your study permit. Eventually, you might be lucky and you will get it, in as much as you can fill the gap. But the moment you have a void in your application, then that will be a red flag. In addition to that, you said, what's the average tuition fee for MSc and living expenses? Okay, so in Canada, the average, so the tuition fee for masters varies. I mean, I can't really say this is how much because it depends on the program you want to study. Someone that wants to do engineering, masters in engineering is quite different from someone that wants to do it in social work. So, but averagely, you're looking at 25,000 Canadian dollars to 30,000 Canadian dollars, averagely. But there are some schools, I can refer one or two schools that are a little bit cheaper that you can look at if you want to do your masters. You can look at Memorial University. Memorial University is, I mean, it's relatively cheap. Tuition fee in that school is relatively cheap. So you might want to look at Memorial University. It's highly competitive because the school is cheap. The tuition fee for the school is cheap. It's highly competitive because so many people want to go in there. But you can also try it and see if you are lucky. And the last part of his question is for express entry, what is the most important factor for a positive application, and what is the percentage of success? So, the most important factor is how you perform in your IELTS examination. That is one. Your age is another important factor, but we can't do anything about our age, right? Our age is our age. We can't reduce it, so there's nothing we can do about it. But the things that you can change yourself is how you perform in your English examination. I mean, you want to study hard, burn the midnight candles, just to make sure that you score good score. Another thing again you can change to improve your score is taking on additional qualification. If you have a bachelor's, you might want to do a master. If you have or you might want to do like a program. There are online programs that you can do. I mean, short programs, diploma programs. Because if you have two or more qualifications, that gives you more marks. But if you only have your BSc, your score is limited. So you can do that to improve your score. So what's the success rate for Nigeria? I can't really say what is success rate because I'm not a statistician. So, but if you try your best, you might be lucky.
Thank you. Thank you. Let us know if he answered your question well. So Raji came back and he is giving more information. It says this is the site, the CRM and Canadian Visa Expert.com for migration to Canada. According to them, payment was made for family package. We have the login details and ID. Maybe you can assist after the program. Thanks. Thank you kindly.
Well, so that information, just like I rightly said, I don't want to condemn any agency on this platform to say, oh, someone is fraudulent or whatever. But what I'm just going to advise our viewer is that they should try as much as possible to always make sure they verify whatever information before, especially before paying. You need to verify. So this person, we can actually chat after this program and look into that. Yeah.
Okay, so please, Raji, kindly get his information that is on the bottom of the screen, and you can send him a private message so that he can help you get more information about that. Thank you. So if you have any more questions, you guys feel free to ask. I know I had a question. I'm
Okay,
afraid.
yeah, I can still. I have. So, in addition to what I just said, I've talked about the study. I've talked about express entry. I talked about provincial nominee, and now another route through which people can come into Canada is through the Agric Pilot Program. So you see, the Agric Pilot Program was launched in May. That's like last month. Normally, it was supposed to be launched in March, but because of this COVID-19 pandemic, it was launched last month. So this Agric Pilot Program, you want to agree with me that in Canada, people who want to do the white collar job, people don't want to go into farming, they don't want to do that. Rather, they want to be in the office. So Canada is actually suffering a lot in this sector, in the agri sector. And that was why this agri pilot program was launched. So it's going to be test running for the next 3 years. So from 2020 till 2023. So all you need to do is, if you have agricultural experience from wherever you are outside Canada, you have the experience, and you can back that up with a letter from your employer that shows that you have the experience, you can apply for this program. But also you need IELTS to be done. So you can agree with me now that IELTS cut across all aspects if you want to come into Canada. But the good thing about this is that if you want to use the score that is required for Agri Pilot Program is lesser. So they don't really need you to kill yourself to score so high in order for you to apply for this. You don't really need to score with as low as 5 to 6 band. You should be fine. So that's another route through which people can come. But it's not so easy because you need an employer. You need to apply from outside Canada to an employer. The employer is probably going to screen you to make sure that you have the qualification, do the interview for you, make sure that you are the right candidate. Then the employer is going to file what is called LMIA, Labor Market Impact Analysis. Your employer is going to do that for you on your behalf. The problem is that most employers in Canada, they find it hard to do this for employee outside Canada because it costs them a lot and it's time consuming. LMIA is simply saying that in the whole of Canada, the employer cannot find somebody suitable to do that job. So they want to bring you from wherever, Nigeria, South Africa, Argentina, wherever you are, they want to bring you into Canada to come and work for them. It's always very hard, but we've seen situations whereby some employer just feel that this person is competent and they go that extra mile to do that LMIA. So that is another route through which people can come. The Agri-Food Pilot Program is going to be running for the next 3 years. People can look at that. If they have the experience, it doesn't cost you anything. Just apply for it and see if you are fortunate.
So does that one, what's the cost for that?
Okay, so the cost for that is, with the little I know, the cost is you need to do the English test. You need to do your West evaluation. They need to know your level of education. You need to do that. And you need to do, so when you want to apply, it doesn't cost you anything to apply. But the moment you are chosen, then you have to pay the application fee. So for the application fee, I don't want to mislead. They can always go online and get it from IRCC website, Agri-Food Pilot Program. Just type it in there, and you get the exact application fee that you need to pay for that. But first thing first is you need to do the English exam, do the West evaluation, and to be sure that you have the work experience and you can get a letter from your company that says that you have experience in the as a farmer, as a supervisor, as a poultry attendant. Yes, so it depends on what you want to do. More information are available online for people to know more about this.
Okay, and for those that are probably pondering on the fact that everywhere is on lockdown, for the past 3 months or so, should they even bother with applications or not? What would your suggestion be?
All right. So normally in this year 2020, Canada, according to the Minister of Immigration, Marcelo, Canada projected that in 2020 they will be bringing in 341,000 immigrants. But because of this COVID-19, I mean, it has affected so many things. As a result of that, that quota, I don't think probably we can meet that quota this year again. But what I can advise people from my own angle is this: Canada is still processing application. Forget the fact that people are not coming in. IRCC is still processing people's application online. So if you feel that you still, like, if you want to come in through study, you can still go to any school online, apply to the school. If you get the admission letter, you can still go online and apply to IRCC for your for your study permit. You might not be able to do biometric because biometric is required. You might not be able to do that, but IRCC understands that, and now they've given more time for you to submit your biometric. So you have three. Normally, it's usually within I think a month or thereabout, but now they've given like 3 months, 90 days for you to submit your biometric. So that means that if you have the finance, you have the qualification, you can still apply for your study permit. Now let's talk about how does it affect express entry. Now the way it affects express entry is that people can't do IELTS because so many places are in lockdown. You can't do your IELTS, you can't do your West evaluation, you can't go to your university or your where you did your degree to get your transcript. But for those that cannot do that, I mean, there's nothing we can do until the lockdown is eased. But if you can still find a way to interact with your school online to get some of this information, it's better for you to start doing it now. Because what I advise is this: some things that you can do now is better for you to start doing it now, so that when this whole pandemic is all over and everything is eased and everything is open, it will be very easy and it will be very fast for you to actually do your own submission. You don't have to, because by then everybody will be running anki panky, running elter skelter to submit the application. But because you have done some things during these things that can be done though, then it's better for you to do it. Another thing, again, based on the last video I did, I suggest, that's based on my own personal opinion, that this is a good time for people to apply for student visa. Why am I saying that? I said that because most of the people that I know, people are not really applying for the student visa now. Maybe because they don't have the requirements, or maybe because of this lockdown, they can't move from one point to another. But if you have all the requirements, if you can go online, you have your internet, you can go online, you can get the admission letter from the school, you have your finance, it's better for you to do it now. Because in the real sense of it, we cannot debunk the fact that Canada depends on so heavily so much on immigrants. Canada, on international students only, in a year, Canada makes a lot of money. I mean, $1 billion from international students cutting across the globe. So Canada actually needs international students. And now that this pandemic has affected so many schools, they're not really generating so much money. It could be a good time for some immigration officer to be like some lenient with some people's application. I'm not really saying they said it on their website, but I'm just saying that they might be lenient because the people are not really applying so much and the money is needed because Canada economy, the government have been spending so much money and we need to recoup this money back. So this might be a very good opportunity for people to apply.
Welcome, Olu. Welcome, TJ, Ocean. Welcome, Money Love. Let us know where you're watching us from, and don't be shy. Click that share button and let's get more people. Our guest has given so much information, so much information that I'm sure it's going to help one or two, if not more, individuals who are watching us today. Like I said, if you guys have any more information, let us know. Let us know. Put it in the comment section. So for what do you think? Like you said, now you've pretty much given us like a heads up. If you're a student, you should be applying for that student visa. Like pretty much, that's like the top priority visas to be applying for. What about family though? What about family? What would you say about family applying for residential for the family?
Well, the best way to be sincere with you, the best way to apply for, if you have your for your family, the best way to apply to come into Canada is the express entry. but the express entry is not so easy. It used to be easy when it started in 2015, but as the year rolls by, it keeps getting difficult. So for family, what I would advise is express entry still remains the best way to migrate into Canada. But if that is very hard for you, you can't find a way around it, you can try the provincial nominee. And earlier I talked about some provinces that you'll be looking at. I said Nova Scotia, Saskatoon, and Alberta. Those are more relaxed. Family can also apply because with that, you can come with your own family. Once you apply and you get it right, your whole family, your wife, kids, husband, everybody comes at the same time. The last one that I will advise is the study. The study doesn't really allow you to come together. Take for instance, hypothetically, the husband is applying to his school to come to Humber College, and the family is back home. And I earlier said that it's better for you to leave your family as it house back home. So if eventually the husband gets it and he lands in Canada by himself, the moment you come into the Canada as the and you enroll in class and you start your program, you can apply for enrollment letter from your school. So the enrollment letter states that you started school and you are in class. So with that enrollment letter, you go online, get some other documents, and apply for what is called open spouse permit, work permit. So that states that you as the husband in Canada, you can apply for open work permit for your spouse that is outside Canada to come into Canada. Because Canada is so relaxed, Canada believes in encouraging family bond. Canada wants, so that visa is to allow your wife to come into Canada, or if the wife is here, to allow the husband to come into Canada and work while the husband is schooling. So that is a legitimate visa that you can apply for as a student. So if the husband is here and you enroll in class, you get all the documents, your marriage certificate, everything, you put it online and you apply, you pay the application fee, you apply for open spousal permit for your wife to come in. So if your wife eventually comes in, then you're here. Then for the kids, what you can do for the kids is to apply for visitor's visa for your kids. So with that, when the wife is coming, can come with the kids and everybody comes into Canada. And when the kids come in here, they can also apply for student visa for them to go to school.
So if you apply that for your spouse, there's no question when you start applying for visiting visa for the kids. There won't be like a query there.
Well, there's no. In most cases, I've seen people done that. I've seen 2 or 3 people done that, and they're fortunate. But we will not be ignorant of the fact that some people might not be fortunate. But under normal circumstances, this is a legitimate visa that the spousal open work permit is legitimate. You're entitled to that. For the kids, you can do the packaging very well and apply for visitors visa for them, and you might be fortunate to get it and everybody comes into Canada. I've seen like 2 or 3 families that have done that and everybody came in here.
That's beautiful. We have another question from Ajayi Femi. It says, if your partner have the PR, do you still need to do the RELTS if she's filing for you? I guess what you just spoke about the open spouse
Okay,
stuff.
so now if your partner already has a permanent resident and is filing for you, I mean, so in this situation you don't, because that is a different ball game. If your spouse is filing for you, you don't need to do RELTS. I mean, since you're not going through the express entry route, that's a different ball game. Your wife is a permanent resident or is a citizen in Canada and is filing for you, you don't need to do the RELTS examination.
Okay. So we know that the presumption of what Canada looks like, or what has been presented, that like Canada, they're giving free money, is easy to live in Canada and whatnot. And then you have individuals who have never experienced either winter or working from like 2, 3 jobs. What is the advice you give individuals who are seeking to come to Canada thinking it's the land of the free and everything is milk and honey? What would your advice be?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question, and I feel it is better for people that are outside Canada to know, to have the impression of what Canada is like. I mean, to be sincere with you, uh, I wouldn't want to say Canada is, everything here is not a bed of roses. I mean, everything is not at your bell and call. Here in Canada, life is good because, I mean, social amenities wise, you've got it, but you have to work. In Canada, you have to work. What do I mean by that? There are some jobs that you might not even be able to do back home that when you come into Canada, you will do it. I mean, here in Canada, people work so much that even the house rent that you're paying, the mortgage that you're paying, you're spending less time at home, you're doing more work. So in Canada, Canada is a fantastic country. I mean, compared to where I came from, I'm not going to Canada, it's better than it. But at the same time, here in Canada, everything is not just at your bell and call. Everything is not at your feet. You have to work for it. If you want to, and another thing again, you need to know that the more money you make in Canada, the more tax you have to pay for that. So that's another thing people need to know
Say
about
it
that.
very well. Say it well. Let them hear you very well.
Yeah, so what I'm saying again to repeat is that the more money you make in Canada, the higher the tax you have to pay. So if you're out there outside Canada, you feel, oh, when I come into Canada, I'm going to be doing this job, doing that job, getting money, making dollars. It's not always like that. That was the impression I had before I came into Canada. But when you eventually come in here, you see that it's a different ballgame. It is true. When you work, you see, I mean, to feed yourself is not a problem. Eating is not a problem. But when you talk about other expenses that you have to pay for, here in Canada, we pay like monthly for the rent, right? So it's not back home, you have to pay annually. But here you pay per month, you have to pay for your car insurance. If you have a house, you have to pay for the mortgage. So many money that you have to pay that even if you're not so careful, you will run out of money very fast. And something about Canada is that Canada is run on a credit system. So sometimes you don't really need to have money to buy things, but you have to be very cautious because if, oh, you get a credit card from this company, from this bank, you get a credit card, and at the end of the day, you keep buying things that you don't need. To pay the money back might be so hard, and at the end of the day, you discover that you find yourself in a mess. So that's another thing again that people needs to be very wary of. It's good for you to bring your family here for the kids to have good education. Canada is nice for that, but put it at the back of your mind that everything is not so rosy as you see it out there because so many people see people standing beside Rolls Royce, taking pictures in a very good location, and as a result of that, they feel, oh, that's some of those things are audio money and it's a flash in the pan.
Oh goodness. Welcome, Domingos. Welcome, Yuri. We have another question. Well, I guess maybe it's a statement. Money Love says Canada is easy for individuals who want to work hard for what they want. If you contribute your dues, the country will work for you. Do you
Yeah, to
agree
certain
with that
extent.
statement?
Yeah, I agree with that first sentence that say Canada is easy for individuals who wants to work hard. Yes, if you want to work hard, yes, Canada is a good place for you. I agree with money on that. If you want to work hard, Canada gives you opportunity. If you want to do 3, 4, 5 jobs, if you have the health, you can do that. If you want to work hard, you can. But the only discouraging factor of it is that part of it is that the more of these jobs you do, by the time you look at your pay stub, you look at your statement, so much money is taken away from you for tax. But at the same time, we will not blame the government for taking away tax because tax is what they use in doing the roads, the hospital that will go for free and stuff like that. As a permanent resident or citizen, that is what they used to pay for that. If you are okay with that, yeah, Canada gives you opportunity to be hardworking.
And we're gonna debate just a tiny little bit. What advice would you give for I would say the government of Nigeria, but then also to narrow it down a little bit, the tourism in um, in Nigeria. Do you have any takes on how things are being done or how things should be done compared to what is being done in Canada? How the country itself, Nigeria, can be a better place.
Well, well. I mean, if you wake a baby that was probably born recently, if you wake him or her up and you ask him about Nigeria, he or she must have something to say. I mean, our government back home is so sorry that our government they know the right thing to do, but they've chosen to do the wrong thing. I mean, some of these people, some of these officials, some of these politicians, they come abroad, they see the way things are being done, and they decide to do it the way they want to do it. But to be sincere with you, when at the point when I keep blaming the government to a point, I stop blaming the government. I mean, I don't blame the government anymore. I blame we the masses. That's what I blame the masses now because there's this adage that when you keep pushing a goat to the wall, when it gets to the wall, eventually the goat can't go beyond that. It turns back at you. But our people have failed to turn back. Rather, they are trying to bore a hole in the wall and they keep going further. So that is where the problem is. We, the masses, we don't know the might, we don't know the power we have. to take out these bad leaders. You discover that these politicians, I'll take for instance, hypothetically during this lockdown, I mean, our government back home, they say, okay, stay back at home. During the lockdown, they lock people at home in the past, like some few weeks back, stay back at home, but they fail to give palliatives, as we have it in Canada and US and some foreign countries. But they say people should stay back at home. And people were complaining, oh, this, that, though. At the end of the day, they said, okay, everybody go out. What am I trying to say? If 2020 were supposed to be an election year in Nigeria, they will roll out money. They will give out market women's money, palliatives will be given out, money will be given out, because they know election is just around the corner. But just because the government back home knows that election is just in 3 years from now, they feel no, they don't need to do anything. But our people, I don't want to use the word that we are suffering from, I don't know. Our people, they forget so fast. You know, by 2022 now, people forget the suffering we had in 2020, the suffering they had in 2020, and they'll still go on the line and kill for these same people. I mean, it's so sad. Our politicians are taking advantage of it. The moment we, the masses, know the might, the power we have, we can take out bad leadership and things will be done right. Let me point this to you. The Canada that we are today, that we're enjoying today, it's not that an average person like someone like me, I can't be wayward in Canada. I can't decide to drive anyhow in Canada, commit fraud in Canada. I can decide to do that. But it's just because there are so many mitigating factors, there are so many rules. I know that if I overspeed in a 50 zone, if I do 100, I know police is just going to stop me right there and I can't bribe my way through. But back home, we can make laws. Oh, don't do this. But at the end of the day, you know that when you make law, you break the law back home, you can always pay your way through. So, I mean, we'll continue to pray for the country and we hope things work out.
Amen. Oh, we have Yori. Yori says Dubai is more expensive than Canada. What's your take
Well,
on that?
well, to be sincere with you, Dubai, I have not been there. But what I can say about Dubai is that I have a friend that came in from Dubai 2 years ago. He came in here. And the few things I know about Dubai is that the country is a country of milk and honey. They have everything. I mean, but for you to enjoy those milk and honey, you need to be a citizen of Dubai. I mean, you need to be a citizen there. I mean, if you are a foreign worker like my friend was, or you're a student, I mean, there's a limitation. Even when you go to do your grocery, there's limitation to what you can do. You can't buy a house. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, Yori, Kelvin can correct me if I'm wrong. You can't buy a house. You can't do so many things if you are not a citizen. In order for you to do some of these things, you need a citizen to vouch for you or to stand in for you. But in terms of milk and honey, they have, they have oil, right? So, I mean, the wealth goes around there. But back home, let me go back to Nigeria. We have oil, but the resources is just being enjoyed by some few.
Oh yes, we even have more oil reserve than Dubai.
Yeah, you see
Uh,
that?
it's just pathetic. Money Love says, but at least you see where your taxes are going in short and long term. I consider Canada to be my second home. Okay, because she's
Yeah.
based in.
Yeah, I think our money is actually making some salient point, just like she mentioned in the last time. We know
Mm.
that we're paying taxes here, but we can see the effect of the tax. If I step out of my house now, the roads are good, kids can go to school. If I'm sick now, I can go to the hospital. It's for free. If you want your wife pregnant, you can always. I mean, you can see what they are doing with the money. Fine, you're paying heavily, but you can see it. But how do you compare it to back home that you're paying, but you can't even see the effect of the? Nobody's even. I mean, don't let's even talk about Nigeria. It's a different.
It can be very overwhelming. Money Love says, I believe that in a country like Nigeria, the foundation was not upheld. Hence, the bribes, the corruption will continue until the people decide to take a stand. We can only continue to encourage the people to stand up and speak out.
That's true. I agree with her. I agree with her on that.
We have Yori says you can buy a house, but most politicians have houses here. See, that's the problem.
Yeah,
No money.
they have houses here. They see how the mortgage system runs here, but they can't replicate that back home. They can't replicate that back home. That is why I sometimes when I blame these politicians, I blame some of these religious leaders too. I don't want to. I mean, it's going to be. I don't want to really go much into that because everybody with their own opinion. Some of our religious leaders, they know the right thing to do, They know they, because some of these religious leaders, you want to agree with me that some Nigerians, they believe their pastors or their imam more than their doctors or more than their husband or more than their wife. But these religious leaders, the power they have, the crowds they control, they can use that to control the society. I mean, to tell the people, to tell the congregation to vote in the right leaders. But some of these leaders, some of these religious leaders, I mean, they are dining, they are eating and dining with the politicians. I mean, and they can't even speak the truth. They can't say what is right. And that's another problem. That's part of the problem we have back home.
Oh yes, you take that out of my mouth. So you have Ubi that says, Dr. Ubi says, what about discrimination for minority groups? How right is it in Canada, especially in the work environment? I have heard non-citizens can't get some juicy jobs, especially in the health sector.
Wow, thank you very much, Bethlehem, for bringing that up. I mean, especially because we're in the season of that. To be sincere with you, and Adebabes, you want to agree with me that even the Prime Minister of Canada made mention of this some few days ago. There's systemic racism in Canada. We can't debunk that fact. I mean, racism is present in Canada, not in the US alone. And just rightly to what he said, in jobs in Canada, there are some jobs that, I mean, nobody's going to put it to your face. Nobody's going to throw it to your face that say, oh, because you are black, we're not giving you this job. But obviously, you will look at the way things are set up. That
Mhm.
definitely, they maybe they're in the company is only one black, or there's no black in the company at all. So that is systemic racism. I mean, somebody was telling me about Nike. Their top officials, they are just white. And so there's racism in Canada. We can't debunk that fact. Racism in Canada, but still, it's not everybody that is racist in Canada. And as a result of that, we won't say because there's racism in Canada, we have to pack our load and go back. But still boils down to the fact that if our leaders, if our leaders are doing things right, I mean, you see this express entry that I talked about.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, it's another form of, I don't want to call it neocolonialism, because um, Canada is bringing in the best of the best from outside Canada, the best brain, skilled workers. They are bringing everybody to come into Canada to work. And the reason why people like us from Nigeria and so many other countries, the developing countries, we are coming here is because our countries, we are not honored there. The doctors are taken for granted. We are
There's
not
more
being paid what we
doctors
are.
outside of Nigeria than in Nigeria. Nigerians, so Nigerian doctors. There's more
So you see,
Nigerian
in the
doctors
US, there are
outside of
so many
Nigeria.
doctors there. So everything still boils down to our leaders. I can tell you of a truth. The moment third world countries like my country, Nigeria, the moment we start getting things right, I mean, countries like Canada, US, they will be begging for us. If our doctors are paid properly back home, lawyers are paid properly, engineers, things are working back home. Nobody's going to be in Canada, because I can tell you of a truth. Who wants to come into Canada to come and stay in the cold for 5, 6 months?
I mean,
Nobody wants to do that.
so definitely, Ubi, it's a great question. Canada is does have systemic racism. The difference between America and Canada is America is right in your face, and Canada is a bit
Yeah,
subtle. That's the
that's
only
true.
thing. You might
Yeah.
think, you might not know why you didn't get that job. You might not know why you didn't get that promotion. They won't tell you. You will just look for
Mhm.
excuses and reasons why you're not competent. But that
Mhm.
behind it is because of your race. So it's
Mhm.
not like it's not there, it's there. But then the thing too with what everybody is knocking on the politicians' door, changing a lot of the structures right now, is because we have to be able to voice out and say, listen, there is racism here, there's racism there, and not just only with the blacks, even with the Native Americans. It's something that has been done for decades, and now because of the blacks really are speaking out, they're going to start actually also pointing fingers at where there's lapse, there's holes in the system, even for the Native Americans also. Just anyone pretty much that has been regarded as a second class citizen. So right now the force is, it's not a joke. Let's just say it is not a joke. It's being taken seriously. It's, they're starting to really think about the structures, how they're going to change it in different levels of the government. and we're pretty much just waiting to see all the changes that's going to be done in this year. They're really pushing for changes this year because you know how politicians are. They like to push it till the next year, and people are like, no, 2020, we want to start seeing those changes now. We're tired. It's too long. I remember when I was in school and I met a couple of new immigrants that just came in like maybe a year or 2 years in Canada, and we had a professor that was discussing how great Canada was, and we were also just putting a little topic on the racism factor. Like, oh, the new ones, of course, the new immigrants are like, oh, Canada is the best, it's great, is they love being in Canada. There's nothing Canada is doing that is wrong, and I'm like, hold up, it's because they knew where you're coming from. Yes, Canada is probably better, the system, but believe me, when you've been here for like a minute, you're going to realize that it is not perfect. They still have a long way to go.
That's
So
correct.
definitely, it's there, but it's getting better. And by the grace of God, we will start seeing that ripple effect of them changing the rules and regulations. We have Yomi. Yomi says Nigerian are the second highest buyer in Dubai. They paid in cash. Ah,
You see
Nigerians.
that? Nigerians, we still pay in cash. We still Nigerian is still cash. We don't want to be cashless. I mean, the government prophesies cashless society, but no. Nigerians, if you want to buy a house like a 15 million house, 100 million house, we bring the Ghana must go and we drop it at the doorstep of the seller. So it's not here that you don't see. You hear the money here, but you don't see it. But Nigeria, you see it.
Oh my gosh. He also said politicians have turned Dubai's second home, etc. Article, yeah, Dua family. Yeah, that's the problem. And the problem is that we're letting them do it. That is why, even for my guests to have said it, it's not, I 100% agree with him. You can say 40% is the politicians, but what's going on with the rest? It's the citizens. It's the citizens. You guys have to learn to stand up. You see what happened in America? To me, I think it should be a ripple effect of how Africans in Africa need to stand up and for their rights. They need to start knocking them doors. You see, what is going on in America is because people are tired. They've been choked up to the wall and they're like, no, there's nowhere else to go. We have to fight back. We deserve our rights, equal rights across board. That's what's going on right now. But like my guest mentioned, like in Nigeria, there's no wall. you know, After the wall, they're shoveling like underneath their feet, inside the wall. They're making space, making space for these politicians to continue this their mockery, this their rubbish that is going on. And if the people don't stand up for their rights, what is other people supposed to do? And especially those that believe like, oh, the Nigerians in diaspora should be the ones to come back home and change things. I'm sorry, they've tried, they left for a reason. So now for them to come back and change things, no, it's for you guys that are left there to change things. What the best, I believe, what the Nigerians in diaspora can do is support. If you guys need support in one way or the other, yes, we can support you. So that at the end of the day, when this country is in a better place, guess what we're going to do? Pack our bags, our money that we have in Canada, and come back to Africa and do what? Invest into the land. And I was speaking to someone earlier. It's not just about us Nigerians or Africans that left Africa, but we're talking about the blacks also that have been there for generations, that their descendants were slaves. We want them to be able to come back also to the continent and invest into the country. Let them feel like, yes, we can come back to Africa. But we need to make Africa a place where, like example, like Dubai, we need to make it in a place that is more even juicier than America, which it will be if we even do half of what is being done in America. It will be a paradise. And that is what we need to start looking into. We have Money Love that says, I completely disagree as far as getting the juicy job. LOL. You are qualified, you will get the job and they will welcome you with open arms. They have some decent and fair individuals who would not care about the color of your skin. There is racism in every North American country as far as I'm concerned. Canada is underdeveloped and need immigrants to survive. Don't let your fears and doubts discourage you from your future goals. The good thing is that with every negativity you receive, another door will open. This can also show your strengths. Maybe you won't be an employee, but become an employer. The world is changing, and with that being said, things will change in terms of racism. This change might not come as fast as we may want it, but there will be changes. Definitely, well said, Moni Love. Ubi says somebody who is not sure of the next meal can't protest. He has to consume that energy with calculating where the next meal is coming from. Oh, I have a comment for that, but please, my darling guest, can you address this?
Someone who is not sure of his next meal can protest. He has to consume that energy with calculating where the next meal is coming from. I mean, yeah, this is pretty straightforward. But this transcends beyond um, someone who's so me. I don't actually understand where the perspective is coming from. Maybe it's coming from the perspective of protesting against bad government
Yes,
leadership
yes.
back home.
Hmm.
That is what he's trying to say. But I can tell you of the truth is that I don't really want to agree with this that because you don't have mail, you can't protest. I mean, because these politicians, they are taking advantage of Nigerians. That's why they will come and give you 5,000, give you 1,000 that can only cook a pot of soup for 2 days, for one day. And at the end of the day, they leave you stranded again for another 4 years. So that's why I say, forget when they come with the money. I won't say you shouldn't take the money from them. When they give you the money, take it, but still vote your conscience. Protest against bad, because if we don't protest against bad leadership, these people are going to do, they will do this for us, for the children unborn, they will do it, and they will continue to enslave. And you've now seen that now politicians back home now, when they grow old, they now put their children to succeed them. And that's why we continue to see the same lineage of politicians ruling Nigeria and ruling Africa and over again. So I wouldn't want to say it's not time for us to protest. If we have to protest, we have to protest. And even people that are in the diaspora too, they are also protesting too. That's why you see when some of these politicians, when they go to Germany, they go to the States, they go to US, you see people clamoring and protesting against them. We have to continue to do that. I can't wait for some of these people to come to Canada too. I might be at the front line too to protest against them because we need to do this together. Even me here, I'm indirectly affected because when I send money to my family back home every month, people are always complaining. It's affecting me too because if
Oh,
everybody's
yes.
good back home, then I don't have to spend money sending money back home every time.
And let me put a little of my 2 minutes or 2 cents into what he mentioned that if you're busy thinking or struggling to get your next meal, you cannot protest. But guess what? Our forefathers, or should I say our grandparents, were saying the same thing. Our parents were saying the same thing. We too, we want to now start saying the same thing. And guess what? Our next generation after us is going to be saying the same thing. We need to stop. If we're thinking of the meal we're going to eat now and we're going to sell the future of our generations to come, my darling, it's not worth it. Let's starve. It's better we start, demand change, so that the next generation will see the changes and benefit from the land in which God has given to us. We can't be saying that because we want to eat, we want to eat. How much food are we even eating that we want to eat? You're barely eating. So the energy you're putting towards you want to eat. Go and knock those politicians down. I'm tired of hearing, oh, guess what? That is the strategy they're using. They're trying to put you guys to the corner where hunger is what is determine your movement. But when you get when you meet them where they're not expecting you to meet them and saying even with hunger, this is what we want and demand it. They have no choice. They have no choice. Like my guest mentioned, he said even if they're going to bribe you, take the money. I agree, 100%. I applaud you for that because we are on the same page. when we have a leader that is standing in the forefront and there's a politician that calls him or she aside and gives them an envelope, guess what? Collect the envelope, smile and collect very plenty. Collect it, oh, bagging your waist up, collect more, collect. Now, with money you've collected, give it to those who are supporting you. You guys share it amongst yourself so that you won't be starving and you'll be able to continue to fight. Don't take that money and go and sit down in your living room and buy land and join the politicians with the nonsense they're doing. No, take that money, feed the hungry ones around you that are actually supporting your cause, and continue to knock their door. Let's stop it. Enough is enough. When we complain, we are tired of complainers. We don't want to complain anymore. We want action. And I believe that what's going on in America and all over the world right now should wake us up in Africa. It's disappointing. Because those that they brought all the way from Africa as slaves are demanding rights on a land that is not even rightfully theirs. It's not even rightfully anybody, because the people that rightfully own the land, so they've thrown them, they've killed them. There's very little of descendants that's left. So us that we own a land, it is our God-given land that has juice, that has sugar, has honey, has gold. Why are we not fighting for this? If we're not careful, in the next 10 years, the Chinese will be the ones to own us. Why are we being dumb? We're going to round up very soon. Evangelist Carl, welcome. He says, good idea, Tony. Thank you. Money Love says, I disagree. If you don't protest now, then when? See, doing the right thing never has a right time. Bad leadership will continue for generations to come. In Nigeria, with such a large population, when will you realize you have the power? If you don't do for your thieves, do you expect change? If you don't do for yourself, do you expect change? Someone has to endure the hardship so that the future will benefit. I've been to Nigeria twice for extended times. The power within the people there are the fruitfulness of the land is tremendous. Thank you very much. And this is coming from a Caribbean that is based in America, and she's been to Nigeria, and she sees it. So for someone who is foreigner that sees it, believe me, that's why the Chinese are coming in to take over, because they are seeing what we are selling our birthright, and they're going to take it and they're going to own it. Thank you. We have K Olu that says the AA in US are entitled. Okay, they are African Americans in the US are entitled to US as much as the white forefathers of African American built that land with their sweat. Oh yes, I agree. Don't get me wrong with what I mentioned. What I'm saying is, even the Native Americans, where they took the land from, the original landowners, which are the Native Americans, not these Indians that are coming from Asia. No, the Native American, the Native Indians, the original landowners are not even fighting the way the blacks are actually fighting. You understand? And I'm not saying that they have no rights. They have all the rights to fight, because it's the white man that's taking over. And of course, everybody has equal rights to that land. And even blacks have more rights, because they are the ones that they were used as slaves to build that land. So even the blacks have more rights to that land than the white man does. So don't get me twisted. That's not what I meant. Sorry for deviating a little bit. Back to topic, please. If you have any concluding information you'd like to give to our followers, please do so.
Okay, yeah. So what I would just say, just to summarize, because we have to go back on track. So what I would just say is that, if for those that are outside Canada that wants to apply to Canada, I know it can be a little bit challenging, but I can tell you of the truth. When you compare coming to Canada, to the US, to the UK, I would still want to say Canada is still a best place for you to come to migrate to with your family, because they have a system. If you come in here to study, there's a path through which from a student you can become a permanent resident and eventually becoming a citizen in Canada, which I don't think you can do in the US, but you can do in the UK. So what I would just say is that consistency is key. I mean, if your goal in life is to migrate into Canada with your family, to give them the best of life, yes, I mean, you have to be consistent. You have to be tenacious towards your goal. You don't give up. I know it can be so difficult. It can be so challenging. You're taking the English examination, you're not succeeding, you're not scoring so high, or you're facing one or two challenges. just don't give up. I mean, winners don't quit. Continue to give it your best, and eventually you might be so lucky. And again, another thing I would like to advise our viewers is that even if your score is so low, I mean, even if your English test, your score is low, still go ahead and create your profile. Because creating profile, you don't pay. You don't pay application fee until you have been selected, you have been invited. So it doesn't cost you anything to still create your profile. The only thing it costs you is your internet and your laptop. Create your profile, just put in your information on that platform and continue to pray and wait. Who knows? Luck will shine on you, anything can happen, and the score will drop so low and you will eventually be picked. So that's how this thing works. So I just want to encourage somebody out there that continue to do your best and be prayerful and be consistent, and you might be fortunate.
Okay, thank you so much. I know we have other other comments, but it's definitely deviating. Talking about China, Black, Africa, and whatnot. Barnabas is just joining us live from Abuja, Nigeria. Well done, guys. Oh, thank you so much. Money Love says this will be the next topic of discussion to him. Yes, we're definitely going to be talking about this sooner than later. So we just want to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for encouraging those who are seeking to migrate to Canada. Want to say thank you so much. Kate Oluse says this was good. Thank you. Lady T, I salute you. Thank you very much. We definitely appreciate your time. We're not going to take it for granted, and we know that, of course, when we call you back later, you're going to come.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, once again, I really appreciate this platform. I mean, I've seen some of the videos that you've done in the past. It's a very good platform to enlighten people, because it's worthy to know that one of the problems we blacks, I mean, African, let me just say African. I don't want to narrow it to Nigerian alone. One of the problems we blacks have is that we don't share information. There's something good about the Indians and the Chinese in Canada as a case study. They share information a lot. When I was in Humboldt College, the Indians, the way they live, I mean, the way they communicate, when they have information, they share it among themselves. And that's why when you see an Indian man buy a house in Canada, he doesn't mind bringing in extended families to live with them. And from there, you know the way Igbo people do back home? An Igbo man comes from the village to Lagos, and before you know it, he brings other Igbo people from Lagos and from village and bring them to Lagos. And they all live in one room. And from there, everybody starts moving up. That's the way the Indian does. And that's what we Africans, we need to start doing in Canada. And that's why I applaud you for this opportunity, because this platform, they are giving out information. It's going a long way, because people that are outside Canada or people that are in Canada can always hear information about Canada. And that was why I also created the platform, the YouTube platform, and so that people can be enlightened, so that when you want to migrate into Canada, you know about the process, so that eventually when you come in here, it will be a little bit more easy for you to maneuver your way and find things very easy. So once again, thank you very much for this platform, and thank you very much for inviting me over. Are you there?
I'm sorry. I was saying all sorts of things and you couldn't even hear me. Uh,
Yes, I wasn't hearing you.
well
I
done,
wasn't
sir.
hearing
Oh gosh. Okay, so it's now we're about to round off. Audio malfunction. I actually mistakenly clicked the mute button. Barnabas says I have a question. You have to be quick with that question because we have to let our guest go. He has really tried and give us his time. Yes, very informative, positive, appreciated. So while Barnabas is writing this question down, I actually want to say you're so point on when it comes to that. We don't exchange information. That's the reason why I formed that debug connector, is just so that we can have that, that's group, where we can definitely just put information. Because the thing is, if you don't say what you do, people won't know what you do. You understand? And we understand it's not everybody that is as assertive. It's not everybody that is what do you call it? Very open, or easily to communicate socially with people. So we put that group, that platform, and you guys, if you're on Adiba Connector, on the top of the page on Adiba Connector, you can actually click the link where to take you to our page on what's it called? I keep forgetting the name of the social media, but you can definitely get into that information, that group, it's closed group, because at the end of the day, we just want to make our own village. Like, the world is a global village, period. But we want to be able to insert our own people. We want to be able to push our own people to do what? To be economically sound. You understand? We want to elevate ourselves so that at the end of the day, we're able to buy properties. We're able to make a noise when it's time to make noise. We won't be making unnecessary noise. But when we actually do ask for something, especially in a situation in a system like Canada, it's you can have a voice. You can be so successful individually, but you can't even make a move if you're not coming collectively. If you don't make that noise together, you're so limited to the changes you can do in the system, politically, in socially, in all manners of levels. So that's the best thing, is for us to come together collectively. And then I adore what he does, what my guest is doing. I adore it so much, so well, because in as much as we do want people to change the country of Africa, we want it to be a better place. We have to also acknowledge what it is and what is now. Is that there's a lot of us coming in, not just the fact that we're coming in. We're not coming in at the rate as other cultures are coming in. That's the problem. You understand? So the reason why we need to keep advocating ways to penetrate into the system, because we need that information to be sent out. We want more of our people to come in, so that we are able to also have as much voice as the other cultures do. So please, 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 when you get the chance, go on this channel, subscribe to it, and share the information. Go on my channel, share the information, because there's a lot of people out there that need this information. You might think because you know it, you see it all the time, somebody else is seeing it all the time. No, some people don't even get to see it at all. So the reason why we need to share, share, and share. Okay, so Barnabas says, what is the chances of foreigners willing to come give birth in Canada? Okay.
Yeah, so that's they call them citizen baby. I can't remember what they call them, passport baby. I
Yeah,
don't call them.
I
So
forgot the
yeah,
name.
so I know Canada. Recently, I mean, they are trying to pass a law now to look into that, so that
Oh
they try to
yes.
discourage people from coming into Canada and just come and give birth. But as of today, they haven't promulgated the law. So I mean, if you get a visitor's visa, you can still come into Canada and give birth. And as of today, your child will still be a citizen. But
Yes.
if eventually they change the rule, like it's done in the US or in the UK too, it might not work out. But if you get a visitor's visa, your wife get a visitor's visa, as of now, you can still come into Canada and get your give birth here, and the child become a citizen in Canada.
So I hope that helps answers your questions, Barnabas. The possibility and easy way out.
Yeah, so the possibility, well, nothing, nobody guarantees you, and even anybody that wants to help you with the visa application and guarantees you 100%, nothing is guaranteed 100% when it comes to visa application. If you get visitor's visa last time, if you apply again, you might not get it this time. So what I can just say, if you want to apply for tourist or visitors visa, just try your best. Get the main thing is there are two key things are involved. Make sure that you get the finance right. You need to be able to show that proof of fund sufficient for you, sorry, to take care of yourself, to take care of your wife in Canada, to go through the birth process. So you need to prove that. Another thing again is that you need to prove that house to back up that when you're done giving birth, you'll be going back. So if you can prove those two key things and you can convince the immigration officer, it will be, I mean, it will be very easy for you. And especially if you have track record of traveling, maybe you've been to the UK before, you've been to the US before, and you've returned back home. If you apply to Canada, that's another advantage for you too, because you have travel history. So these are many more things are what they look at, and you might get a visitor's visa, and everything works out for you and your family.
Okay. So that rounds up our session with our lovely guests. We want to say thank you. So have a lovely, 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 lovely evening, and we'll talk later.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. Regards to everybody. Have a nice time. See you some other time.
Yes. Okay, guys. So I hope you enjoyed our session. It was very, very informative. I'm going to say it again. Kindly follow me on my social media platforms and especially my YouTube channel, Adiba Connected TV. I need you guys to go and subscribe to the channel, guys. I need you guys to go and subscribe. Thank you, sir. You get mouth, sir. So his information is still on the bottom of the screen. You can take a picture, you can write it down if you do want to connect with him later on. He is not a registered immigration consultant. He has mentioned that in the beginning, but he definitely has a lot of information that can definitely help you when it comes to you filling out application and whatnot concerning coming to Canada. Yes, very informative. Thanks, Adiba. You're welcome. You're welcome. Odesola Peter, welcome, sir. Okay, so that concludes our session today. We'll be back next week, and next week we're going to be discussing before saying I do's. So for our singles, for our engaged individuals, even for our married or newlywed individuals, definitely stay tuned to our program next week, Friday, always at 6 p.m. But sometimes we have our specials program during the week. But if you're on our platform, you're definitely going to be seeing all that information. So don't forget to go on Adi_Babes on Instagram or Adiba Connected TV and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Adiba Connected TV. Thank you very much, and have a lovely evening. Have a lovely night. God bless your weekend. Ciao.